take a look at this guy. So I'm going to shut down emotionally and explore how behavior fits into psychodynamic theory. And we'll also break down what defense mechanisms are and how they show up in this person's actions. I am not going to say the name. Anyways, psychodynamic theory, developed from Freud's ideas, focuses on how unconscious processes, childhood experiences, and internal conflicts shape personality and behavior. It looks at things like defense mechanisms, strategies that the mind uses in order to protect itself from painful thoughts or feelings, often without us realizing. So, some common defense mechanisms. Actually, the defense mechanisms that we'll be talking about: repression, intellectualization, and identification. We'll also be talking about dissociative amnesia, but that is a condition and that is not a defense mechanism, I think. I'm just saying stupid, random stuff. Just kidding. Anyway, so this person used to be cheerful, warm, and kind until that traumatic incident happened. You know what I mean. Anyways, after that, something changed. So, apparently, he repressed his memories and personality, blocking out everything from his past. So, it's a textbook example of repression and dissociative amnesia. Why am I low-key saying random stuff right now? I don't even know what I'm saying. Just kidding, I know. But yeah. So anyways, after the dramatic incident, he immediately repressed his memories and personality, blocking out everything from his past. The textbook example of repression and dissociative amnesia. He couldn't remember who he was, not because he chose to forget. If you choose to forget consciously, then that's actually suppression. But yeah, he couldn't remember who he was, not because he chose to forget, but because his mind was trying to protect him from grief. So yeah, dissociative amnesia, that is a condition where something traumatic happened, basically amnesia. Yeah, what happened? But repression is a defense mechanism. Dissociative amnesia is a condition, and repression is when you're unconscious, unconsciously, so you don't actually know. But your unconscious pushes away the traumatic memory and hides it deep in your unconscious. So even if you don't know about it, it can still affect your behavior, even if you forget it, the memory. Anyways, so he became distant and emotionally numb, focusing on logic. That's actually intellectualization. So by keeping things strictly logical and factual, he could avoid dealing with his feelings. But he doesn't do it consciously, it is unconscious, based on psychodynamic theory. So yeah. He couldn't pretend to not care. He just really couldn't feel much at all, because his unconscious is protecting him. So interestingly, he didn't just shut it down emotionally. He also began to behave like his brother who died in the traumatic incident, as you know. Quiet, composed, and focused. So that's a sign of identification, where someone unconsciously models themselves after someone they admired or felt close to, especially in moments of crisis. That's kind of like iffy. I'm not sure if that's one of the defense mechanisms that were used. Anyway, everything changed during that battle. You know what I'm talking about. And he regained his memories. It wasn't just remembering facts, the emotions came rushing back too. So suddenly, his attitude began to shift. See? Okay, so I remembered everything. You know what happened? He suddenly became kind to. Okay, he smiled. Yeah, you could see glimpses of who he used to be. Like, okay, so he didn't go back to being his old self completely. He was still cold on the outside, but now emotionally present. So he was noticeably kind to the other guy. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. And even smiled, showing growth and healing. So he didn't become cheerful again, but he was no longer numb. He literally smiled. His smile is so precious, I'm telling you. Okay, anyways. So, you see perfect example of how psychodynamic theory shows up in stories. I didn't even explain what psychodynamic theory is. Research that yourself. Just kidding. Or not actually. I will cover psychodynamic theory maybe in another video. But yeah. So, his behavior wasn't random. It reflected a deep unconscious response to trauma. From repression and dissociative amnesia to emotional numbness. And eventually growth. This tells us how the mind protects itself and how healing takes time. Well, it just took one battle and a few, random stuff that made him remember all that. And he was kind again. Well, not completely kind, not like his old self, but he was still like a bit cold, but he was very emotionally aware after that. And he sincerely thanked the other guy, and was very kind to people he cares about. So yeah. What am I even ranting about? Anyways, if you enjoyed this stupid random video, you want more deep dives into psychology and stuff, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Like, if you have any thoughts or questions, comment down. If you want me to do this on anyone else, comment down below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. This was so weird, this was so random. I don't even know if you can understand what I'm saying.